I'm appalled. It's Trayvon Martin's birthday today. And he's not here anymore because he died. Oh my gosh. And Ben Shapiro, who's like the worst human being on the planet and the dumbest, like everything he says is ignorant and backwards. It's just like Trayvon Martin would have been 21 today if he hadn't taken somebody's head and beat it into the pavement and ended up shot. Okay, that didn't happen, but even if it had, why are you commenting on his birthday? It's like, okay, those people that are not for Black Lives Matter and be like, oh, well, the cops had to do it because their lives were in danger, which they were not in most cases, not. But even so, if you don't even agree, if you're like, well, I wasn't there, I don't know how he felt, I don't know the situation, I could have seen it from a different angle, blah, blah, blah. Even if you have those arguments about it, like, I'm not sure. Even if you're like, well, I'm not sure. Or like, hey, you don't know what it looked like from the other side of a different angle or something, But it's like, or what was, maybe he whispered, I'm gonna, hurt you or something, like, or anything. Like, people make up crazy stuff. But it's like, even if you're one of those people that act like, maybe there was a chance they thought their life was in danger and they had to react and they had to shoot somebody. Okay? Even if you're one of those people, why on the dead person's birthday, if you're like, hey, I wasn't there, I don't know what happened, things got out of hand and somebody ended up dead. It's tragic because they had a family, and it's like, even if they were a criminal, even if they were a horrible criminal, they still had family members. Like, you should not celebrate someone's death. Like, yesterday or the day before, I found out Mark Salling, who played Puck on Glee, he was such a good singer and a good character on there, and he was so cute, but, like, they found out that he had, like, child pornography. Like, millions of pictures of child pornography. And it sucked. And then he ended up committing suicide, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. Like, he had child pornography. He should have went to jail. He was getting ready to go to jail. But I did not want him to kill himself. And it's not like I'm like, good, a child molester is dead. Which he didn't, he wasn't a child molester, but he did have child pornography, which is like, it's very similar. But it's like, I'm not going to celebrate his death. I'm not going to wait till his birthday and be like, well, guess whose birthday it is? That guy who died. Hey, family of that guy who died. Remember him? Let's make fun of him now that he's dead. It's like, why would you be on his birthday? The level of cruelness in this place, in this earth, is beyond ridiculous. Just like, people being like, oh, those Nazis, those fine people, the people that were like, Antifa is just as bad as Nazis. It's like, Antifa means anti-fascist, so there's no possible way. Like, no. They break windows. Oh, no. The poor windows. Are the windows okay? Like, oh my gosh, those windows' feelings got hurt. Like, I know it sucks. Like, that might not be cool to be, like, breaking stuff. I don't know. I don't really care personally, but it's like, okay, if you don't like people breaking stuff, that's your opinion. But let me tell you who did do that because of his righteous anger was Jesus. He flipped over tables because he had a good reason to be angry. You think he wouldn't be angry when innocent people are killed for no reason? You want to sit around and act like, and that's abortion, you say, well, I'm pro-life, abortion kills the innocent. Well, why don't you care when cops kill the innocent? Why don't you care when Nazis kill the innocent? Maybe they're not completely innocent their whole lives, like, oh my gosh, he smoked weed, but did they, like, oh my gosh, I found out 5 years ago that guy smoked weed, so he totally deserved to die that day. Like, when have you ever broken the law? Like, honestly. Have you ever run a stoplight or a red light accidentally? You deserve to die. Like, that's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I understand that it's a dangerous job. I understand when people's lives are in danger, they have to take action. I've been in a situation where I would have done the same daggone thing. But it's like, I feared for my life. But it was like, I'm not a police officer. I don't want that job. I would expect, had I been trained, I don't even want to be in a dangerous situation, so I do not put myself in them. Okay? Like, as much as I possibly can stay out of them, I stay out of them. But I know I would react poorly. I'm like, I don't even want to be in this situation, so I will shoot whoever, like, tries to hurt me. I don't care. I say that. Like, I say that. I'm not saying they deserve to die, but if I know that I will react poorly. I'm calling it reacting poorly. I wish I could have, the patience and the, what would you call it? The courage and the whatever it would take, but there's people, and somebody said, like, an ex-cop, he said, do you think we should militarize the police, like, take them through military training? He's like, absolutely. Because people that are used to be in the army or used to be a Marine, when they become a cop, when they come back, they are just, like, so much less likely to shoot somebody that's innocent, because they know how to de-escalate situations without using a gun and without using anything. Like, they can talk their way out of it, like, because they're not afraid. They've been through the, if they've been at war, they come back and they're like, hey, I know what it's like to be in this dangerous situation. You have to keep your head. And it's like, oh, but it's like, they need to be better trained. Not only that, but, like, the whole situation. It's like they walk up on people that are white shooting at them. You can be shooting at, there's people that have been shooting at them and they walk up to him and is like, hey, could you calm down, buddy? I've heard him say this, like a guy standing there holding a gun, like in the middle of the street, holding it like he's getting ready to shoot someone, and they're like, hey, buddy, could you calm down? Buddy, do you mind putting your gun down? I don't want to take away your rights, but could you please for me, buddy? But Philando Castile's sitting in his car, like, with a 3-year-old in the back seat and his girlfriend. He's taking her to get ice cream. He's like, he works with children for his day job. He has no criminal record whatsoever. He's like, officer, I have a permit to carry. I just want to let you know I do have a gun in my glove compartment, and I have a license to carry it. And the officer's like, what? And then he shoots him, like, immediately. And he's like, it's like, you're, and he gave him, like, conflicting things. He's like, don't reach for it. He's like, I'm not, dude. I'm not. Like, calm. They were both calm. Him and his girlfriend. Like, I saw the video. That guy did nothing wrong. And you're like, well, he had a gun. It's like, I thought y'all was all for gun rights. Where is that now? The NRA should be all over this. Just like Trey Crowder said, like, he had a gun, and he deserved to die because he had a gun, but y'all are all for gun rights? That, like, y'all should be so mad that people get shot just for owning a gun that they have a license to carry. They're getting killed for that reason. Why do you not care if you're so pro-gun right? I'll tell you exactly what it is. You know what it is. I don't even have to say it, because they're freaking black and you're racist. Maybe you're not racist like the Nazis. Maybe you're not racist like the KKK. Maybe you don't say that you hate people of color. Okay. But guess what? That's not all that racism is. You thinking that they deserve to die because they're probably a criminal, because they own a gun that they have a license to carry. Or, oh, I would have been scared too. Why would you have been scared? Is it because you're not, I'm not even saying that, like, the conditioned response that you have is your fault. Okay? I'm saying you need to face it, recognize it, and be like, that's wrong. That's what I do. I grew up in a mostly white community. I realize I have conditioned biases from growing up that way. But I look at them because I'm not scared. I'm like, you know what? Either I can deny that I have these biases and be like, oh, I'm not racist. It must be all the black people's fault. Because that truly is racist. It's like, you either face your own bias, that's what it is. If you have a bias, you face it and you say, I have this bias, but I'm not going to let it affect how I treat people. I'm not going to let it affect, how I think about people. You need to filter it through reality and be like, you know what? I would have been scared there too. Why is that? Is it because it was a really scary situation? Would I have been just as scared if it was a white person? You need to filter it through and think. Think, for goodness sakes, think a little bit. Because maybe I would have been scared. Maybe I have that bias. So what? But I can look at myself and say, look, had it been a guy that looks like this or a guy that was dressed like this, would I have been scared? No. Or whatever. It's like, should he have died on that day? Absolutely not. Should Philando Castile have died? Absolutely not. He was completely innocent. it just upsets me so much to think. And, you know, after all that stuff, even after all that, these people, the Nazis down in Charlottesville, after they ran over that girl, you want to act like, oh, they're the same. There's this just as bad on both sides. No, there's not. Because I don't see people in Black Lives Matter posting things after somebody dies like, oh yeah, I'm so glad they're dead. Look at their look at their fat bodies on this stretcher as they die. Like, they did that to Heather Heyer. The Nazis went online and posted pictures of her dead body talking about how fat she was, saying she deserved to die. She was too fat to move out of the way of the car in time. And all this stuff. That's how they act. Okay, that's how even... This is not just the Outliers either. This is Ben Shapiro, who's a major journalist for all this bullcrap. He's basically all he does is get online and talk about his dumb opinion that's always wrong and stupid. Everything I've ever heard him say. He was even... Net neutrality is a good thing because blah, blah, blah. And it was like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. People on Fox News even like, well, I think the country fans probably got shot because they're Christians. It's like... Country music automatically makes you a Christian? Like, that's not reality. You can be the biggest sinner in the world and love love country music. Like, that has nothing at all to do with it. I'm so sick of that attitude. It's so dumb. It's like, I can listen to rap music. I can listen to rock music. I can listen to metal. There's a metal... Brian Welch is a metal singer. A metal musician. He is heavy metal from Korn, heavy metal. And there's like 2 other members of Korn that are also Christians. And Brian Welch wrote a Christian CD that was a heavy metal CD, and he had people praising God in his audience at a metal concert. How are those people going to be reached if we don't have diversity? And you're like, you can't be like the world. Okay, that applies to sinning. It doesn't apply to a type of music. It doesn't apply to a type of clothing. It doesn't apply to Americanism. Like, you think the first Christians didn't speak English at all. They were Jewish, mainly Jewish people. Peter, John, all of the apostles were Jewish. Like, it's just, they lived in Israel, for goodness sakes, and they spoke Aramaic and Hebrew. And probably Greek later on. It's like, they weren't American. They didn't speak English. Like, And it's just crazy to me. They didn't dress like us at all. It's just the differences. And those people that dress and act like that, there now, it's like, hey, whatever. I don't remember reading in the Bible that bluegrass was God's favorite music. Maybe he likes metal the best. He doesn't care. That's what my friend Connie used to say. It's not the message. It's not the method. It's the message. It doesn't matter what style of music it is. It doesn't matter what style of clothing it is. It doesn't matter. You're not being like the world if you're not sinning. That's the whole point. Like, if you can go out and be like, I like watching football. That's being like the world, according to some people. It's like, oh, you want to listen to emo music? Why are you trying to be, you can't, because they say that you're trying to reach the world by being like the world, but it's like Evanescence. You know what I mean? That band, it's like, there is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with Brian Welch. You know what I mean? Cussing and stuff maybe is wrong. I don't know. I don't do it. I try not to, but I understand things like that. I understand being like, don't go out and get drunk just to, whatever. I understand that. I understand not going to bars. Things that are sinful. But listening to 21 Pilots is not sinful. Dyeing your hair blue is not sinful. Wearing hair gel is not sinful. Being black is not sinful. Being a woman is not sinful. It's insane. It's insane. I'm so sick of Americanized Christianity. Like, I'm so sick of people trying to Americanize Christianity and make it this thing that it is not. We don't have to wear red, white, and blue all the freaking time. And actually, you're not supposed to do that according to the rules of the American flag, but nobody even knows the actual rules. And I'm so sick of people being like, if you're not patriotic, then you're not a good Christian. It's like, seriously, I don't care. I don't care about what country I live in. I'm thankful that God put me in a country where I'm free. I'm thankful to God for where I live. I'm not thankful to the government. I'm not thankful to the settlers. I'm not thankful to anybody but God for where I live. God put me in a place where He wanted me to be, and it's because of Him. It's not because of, it's not even because of the military. It's not even because of the soldiers. There, I said it. Yeah, I appreciate the soldiers, and yeah, they do sacrifice their lives or whatever for things, but these past few wars were not fought for anyone's freedom. I'm just saying, they weren't. They were fought for the government's greedy purposes, and that's the truth. Vietnam? No, that shouldn't have happened. You know? And you can say what you want about the terrorist or attacks or whatever. That's not why we were in Afghanistan for years and years and years. I know why we were there. And I'm not going to say it on the internet because the FBI is probably listening. I don't want to do that. But honestly, I don't care about the government. I don't care. If I moved to Australia, I would be just as Christian as I am now. If I moved to France, I would be just as Christian as I am now. I know for a fact, well, I've seen for myself a video of a guy that used to be Muslim who lived in a country where they were not allowed to talk about God. God gave him nightmares and dreams and told him and kept giving him nightmares about waking up in hell. And he started praying, God, who are you really? And he was searching for the real God. And he found Jesus. And God reached him in a place where no one else could through his dreams. And he was in a Muslim country where they weren't even allowed to talk about God. Don't tell me God doesn't love those people. and people being so cruel, it just very much upset me to think that people can't just shut their mouths. I mean, for goodness sakes, even if you don't agree with the Trayvon Martin case or don't agree with Black Lives Matter about it, even if you don't agree that, like, he was innocent, even if, I don't care what you think, but it's over, it's done, there's no bringing him back. You can shut your mouth now. It's like, are you happy now? You're not even satisfied? It's like, he's dead. Is that not good enough for you? You want to, bury him more? You want to mock him after he's dead now? Like, that is the most cruel and heartless thing. I don't even know this kid, but I don't care. And I don't know half these people. I don't know Florida Castile at all. But I can't sit by and be like, I'm just going to ignore this. I can't ignore it. It's impossible. And it's like, if you don't want to have an opinion on it, that's your business. But what did Martin Luther King Jr. said? Everything he said, basically, it's not the hard racists, it's not the KKK, it's not the Nazis, it's not people like that are the main problem. Who is holding people down is the moderates who don't say anything, who turn a blind eye to everything. You think to yourself, well, if things were really that bad, everybody would be upset about it. Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? I've seen too many videos, too many proof evidence of things. I can't unsee that. At first, when the Black Lives Matter thing started, I said to myself, I have no idea what this is about. But I'm for, ending racism. And, before I knew anything about it, I was like, a lot of people being like, well, I don't know. I don't know. Racism sucks, but, you can't get mad at everybody for everything they say, or just ignore them. But when it became people's lives, when I saw that it was actual people getting hurt, I was like, I can't turn a blind eye to that. Like, I can't do it. That's somebody's family, even if they're a criminal. The first one I saw that really got to me, there was a 15-year-old boy on the news crying, sobbing uncontrollably because his dad was killed. And I know that would happen if the guy was guilty or, if it was a necessary thing, but it's just seeing the pain of somebody else like that and just knowing it could happen to anybody, knowing how corrupt the system, the police system is. It really is. I know that. I've known it before all this started. I knew it a long time ago. It's all on who you know. Around here, there's not as much of a race thing because there's not much diversity. It's more about who you know and how popular you are and what's your reputation. You know, if you have a bad reputation, they're going to cut you down. I have a friend that got beat by the police for no reason. And he's white. And it's like, I never did trust them fully at all. No, I didn't. I don't praise the police. I'm sorry. You know, I'm not sorry. They just have a job. You know, they've helped me a couple times, but I now appreciate it. But I'm not here to praise the police. I'm not here to praise Donald Trump. I'm not here to praise the government. I'm not here to praise a piece of fabric that's the flag. You know, this is temporary. This earth is temporary. And if, you know, am I supposed to care more about, you know, a flag than human life? That's not okay. I can't do it. I can't live on this earth and be like, I'm just gonna scoot on by and act like everything's hunky-dory and act like everybody's just having a good time whenever there are people hurting. You know, people are like, well, you know, I know you got raped, but you could get over it. Well, you know, even when I get over it, I'm not gonna stop talking about it. How selfish would that be? It's like, I'm not gonna use this to help somebody else. I didn't go through that for no reason. You know, that would be in vain. You want it to be in vain? Or, you know, it's like, okay, and once I get over it, what? I can live happily ever after, and then anybody else that gets raped, well, screw them, who cares? No, I don't think so. You know, even if talking about it all the time hurts me more, if I have to do that to help people, then I will. If I have to have my heart broken every day to help other people, then I will. And no, I don't like hanging out with people. I'm an introvert. I don't like being around people. But that's not because I don't like people. I just don't like being around people. Because I'm an introvert. I don't like a lot of people. I don't like big crowds. But I don't want any harm to come to any of them. As little harm as possible to everyone. And I want everybody to get to heaven someday, you know, and it's just like, that's my goals. And if I have to sing in a rock tone to do so, oh well. Singing in a rock style is not sinful. I just, and if, you know, I can't stand injustice. And there is so much injustice in this world, especially now, you know, all these people. I knew so many people that were pro-rape and pro-racism. I honestly did not know that. Honestly did not know that. And you might not be like, oh, I'm not, you know, you might be like, oh, I'm not racist. I don't really hate them. Well, you're not helping, are you? You know? If being like, oh, yeah, but it's the police. They're the best ever. All of them are just hunky-dory and all this, you know, it's like, I don't care how many you know. I don't care if your uncle was a police officer. I don't care. If somebody's a murderer, they need to be in jail. And you're like, well, they have a dangerous job too. They get killed too. Yes, and there are specific crimes. Assaulting a police officer is like, if you actually murder a cop, it's more time in jail than murdering a civilian. They already have rules in place there's nothing more we can do. We have done these things. You know, we have these laws in place for a reason, because it is dangerous if you flick a police officer in the nose, they could arrest you for assaulting an officer. And the punishment for hurting them is more than for hurting a civilian. What more can we do at this point? Honestly. If you want people to, if you're like, well, talking about it's making it dangerous for them. Honey, no. No. They can't just get away with killing people. We can't just do that. We can't just do that. We can't have them, and if they would stop doing that, and stop being so ego-tripping, power-tripping, jerks, like some of them are, especially some that I know, maybe they, you know, people wouldn't be so mad at them if they would just stop doing that. And you know, there's a lot on there. There's a lot about it. You know, I have a lot of opinions about it, but all that aside, why would you be on Trayvon Martin's birthday? Would you get online like Ben Shapiro and say such a thing? Like, could you not just shut up? Could you not just shut up and keep your own stupid opinion to yourself? You're celebrating his death on his birthday, even though, like, I can't even comprehend the level of cruelty and what purpose does that serve? You sick freak. Honestly. Honestly. That is so sick and twisted. It's sickening. It's sickening. It's sickening. Regardless whether you agree with Black Lives Matter or not. Why would, on his birthday, would you even remember that it's his birthday and be like, oh, it's Trayvon Martin's birthday today. I better get on Facebook and mock him because I'm a cruel, evil, sick, twisted human being. It's terrible. Terrible. I can't even comprehend it. It's just so terrible. Why? Why? What is the purpose of that? What purpose does that serve? Honestly, it's so... And that's how that's how the whole... It's like there's a whole big group of people that are just like this all the time. Mainly Trump supporters. I'm not going to say all of them, because all of them don't do this. I know that. But, see, that's how you don't generalize. You could just say, like, not all of them, but a vast majority of people like the Trump supporters, and even people that are not Trump supporters, are just so, but it's mainly a lot of concentrated into that group. There's a lot of concentration of that in that group, especially, like, the alt-right, and, which are Nazis, and, like, people like that. But even people that aren't like that, they're like, yeah, Nazis are bad, but so is Black Lives Matter. It's like, those are not the same at all, sweetie, but okay. They're not on the same level whatsoever, but okay. I saw somebody that's supposedly this great Christian lady, and, I'm not saying she's not a Christian, because I believe she is, but I think she's so twisted up in this whole, Christianity is about being a Republican thing, that she's like, oh, Donald Trump took away funding for the Meals on Wheels. I guess Grandma's gonna have to have breakfast some other day. I'm like, we're talking about feeding the elderly that can't cook. That's what Meals on Wheels is for. They're for the elderly that literally can't physically cook their own meals because they're not physically capable. And you're basically telling them to, why don't you just go ahead and tell them to get a job? Like, it's honestly appalling to me. It's like, oh, I guess Grandma's gonna have to have breakfast, like, making fun of the fact that these elderly people have to go without food. Like, when I think about it, actually, it, like, literally, makes me like this, and then there's people that are, like, making jokes about it. I'm like, do you have to be that cruel, though? You're gonna basically selling your soul to support Donald Trump is what they're acting like. They're, like, selling their dignity and their that's basically what they're acting like. Like, they would give up their own decency as human beings to defend Donald Trump. That's what they do. It's appalling. It's like, if you have to go this far, that you're mocking old people that are starving to death, or going without meals because they can't physically cook their own food. If you're going that far to defend somebody, you might want to rethink supporting somebody like that makes you go that far. Like, honestly. Just saying. Like, I don't even understand it. If you stand by your decision to vote for him for such and such reasons because of, like, one or two policies, just say that. You don't have to defend everything he does. That just makes you look like a terrible person. Honestly. It makes you look either just brainwashed or ignorant. Or, like, you're a terrible person, too. Just say, I don't like anything he does, really. But his policy about this is okay. But he did one thing, like, no, I'm saying, like, me. as myself, I'm saying he did one thing, like it was a policy of some sort, a law he passed or something that I agreed with. Well, Israel, I agree with that thing. I can say that because I don't support him at all, but I like that one decision. Why can't people do that? I don't understand. It's like you don't have to, like, just because you like a couple of things he's doing or planning to do doesn't mean you have to defend every horrible thing he does or says. Can't you just, like, take a step back and look at it, the situation, and be like, can I like a couple things he's doing, but not, defend him grabbing women by the crotch? You could do that. You could, you could just say, I don't really support him, but I do like that he did this, or, only support him because of this issue. That would be so much easier than defending every little thing. I mean, it would be, like, take so much work off of you. But there are people, I think they just honestly just are so enamored by it, or so committed to being like, no, I was right. I was right for voting for him. I was right for every reason. There's nothing wrong with him whatsoever. He's perfect. It's like you can't, you can't face reality. But to the point of cruelty. Like, people are to the point of cruelty. And I don't know why you would have to get online to talk about, Trayvon Martin. If you didn't like him, just don't say anything. It would be so much easier if you didn't, if you were even glad that he died, which is horrible. You don't have to say that on the internet, where his family can see it. That's just being cruel for cruelty's sake, and that's about 90% of what I see from Trump supporters is cruelty for cruelty's sake. They enjoy it. They get a kick out of being cruel to people and kicking people that are already down. They love making other people miserable. That's like their bread and butter. It's so sad. But hey, if you want to listen to this, and if you want to think about it and rethink your stance on things, or, just say, hey, I shouldn't be cruel like that, that's good. And if not, this is not for you, and, you're only hurting yourself in the long run. Honestly, that's your heart that you're darkening by acting that way, and nobody else's. And that's all.